Welcome everybody. My name is Linda Morgan. I'm the director of the Advising and Testing Center, and what we're going to do this morning in preparation for you to take your placement test today is to give you a very brief overview of the Accuplacer testing process so that you become exposed to some sample test questions in reading, writing, and mathematics, and also to go over with you the placement chart so you can get a better understanding of what your placement results are like, and probably most important, to give you some resources that you can go to in case you decide that you want to brush up a little bit on your skills and then come back and take Accuplacer again. Accuplacer can be taken twice during any semester, so you do have an opportunity to test again, although unfortunately you do have to pay the $15 the second time. Okay, so we're ready to begin. So what is Accuplacer? As you know, Accuplacer is a computerized test designed to test your skill levels in reading, writing, and mathematics. And sometimes students come to us from high school with SAT or ACT scores. Sometimes those scores are not quite high enough to give you a placement. That's why your advisor told you you needed to take a placement test. And then in some cases, the scores are too old. Like maybe you graduated from high school, 5 or 6 years ago. We can no longer use placement scores for mathematics because they have to be current, no older than a year. So the Accuplacer test is designed to show your strengths and weaknesses to make sure that we put you into the proper classes to maximize your chances of being successful. Okay, so as you know, Accuplacer is computerized. The nice thing about Accuplacer, it's not timed, so you can go at your own pace. You were told that you're not allowed to bring a calculator into the test for the math portion, which is true. However, you will have access to a calculator because when you get to the math test, there will be a calculator that will pop up on the screen. And you are also given some scratch paper in case you want to work out those math problems. All of the answers are multiple choice, and the important thing to remember in that regard is that once you choose an answer and you hit the submit button, there is no provision to go back and change your answer. So just be careful about that part. And when you finish your placement test today, when you go and check out, you will receive your placement results. Okay, next. Okay, so the Accuplacer test has an English section, which is 20 questions of reading comprehension and 20 questions related to sentence skills. And when we say sentence skills, we're talking about measuring your knowledge of basic grammar. In the math section, the math test is progressive, and what that means is after you start missing 2 or 3 questions in a row, the test will stop. So it won't force you into having to answer calculus questions. So the math test will have about 17 to 25 questions, and there's arithmetic, elementary algebra, and college algebra. Okay. So reading comprehension. What are they trying to measure with reading comprehension? Can you pick out the main ideas of a passage? Can you identify the facts and the supporting details? Do you understand sentence relationship? How does one sentence relate to the other? Can you identify inference? In other words, what is the point of the passage? What's the logical conclusion the reader gains from reading the passage? What is the author's purpose? What's the point of the passage? And what type of rhetorical strategy did the author use to convince you to their point? Did they try to persuade you using examples, making analogies, or just through the use of logic? So how the author tried to persuade you to their point is called rhetorical strategies. Okay? Sentence skills, they're looking at your knowledge of subject and verb agreement. Can you identify modifiers, which to you is probably known as adjectives, like the red ball? The diction and logic, is the sentence logical and grammatically correct? Sentence structure, does it contain an appropriate array of nouns and verb tenses? And sentence boundaries, are you reading a sentence that is run on with improper punctuation? Okay, next. Arithmetic, that's computation with integers and fractions. You'll be introduced to decimals, percents, estimation, ordering, number sense, and there could be some word problems. Elementary algebra deals with real numbers, linear equations, inequalities, quadratic expressions and equations. That's kind of like Algebra 2 in high school. Algebraic expressions and equations, and there may be some word problems with applications. Now what I'm going to do next is just going to expose you to some typical questions that you would see on the test. If you want to give the answer a try, you're welcome to do that, but this is not a testing part, okay? All right, so this is an example of a sentence skills question. It says, rewrite the sentence in your head following the directions given below. Keep in mind that your new sentence should be well written and should have essentially the same meaning as the original sentence. So here's the sentence. Although the sandpiper is easily frightened by noise and light, it will bravely resist any force that threatens its nest. So you need to rewrite this sentence beginning with, the sandpiper is easily frightened by noise and light. The next words will be, but it will bravely resist. B, nevertheless bravely resisting. C, and it will bravely resist. D, even if bravely resisting. So in your mind, which one would you choose as the best way to finish that sentence? A was the correct answer, so good for you. Okay. Now we're going to look at a reading comprehension passage. Read the statement or passage and then choose the best answer to the question. Answer the question based on what is stated or implied in the statement or passage. So here's the passage you're reading. All water molecules form six-sided structures as they freeze and become snow crystals. The shape of the crystals is determined by temperature, vapor, and wind conditions in the upper atmosphere. Snow crystals are always symmetrical because these conditions affect all six sides simultaneously. The purpose of the passage is to present A, a personal observation, B, a solution to a problem, C, actual information, or D, opposing scientific theories. C. Once again, C was the correct answer. All right, next. Here is an example of a typical elementary algebra question. You would look at this equation, use your scratch paper, try to figure it out. These were the choices. She said -7. She chose B. Okay, go ahead. B was the correct answer. That was very fast, by the way. Good for you.
She knows her math.
She knows her math. Okay, here is an example of a college level math. The graph of which of the following equations is a straight line parallel to the graph of y equals 2x. And if you don't know the answer, you can just skip it. But eventually the test will understand that you're at a higher level, they're testing you at a level that you're just not ready for, and it will stop. It's really supposed to stop at that point. In that case, the correct answer was C. The next thing I'd like you to do is pull out that placement chart that you were given. Everybody who's getting a college degree at UAA has to take English 111. It's called a general education requirement. All right? When you get your placement test today, it may be that you test into English 111, and that's great, but it may be that you don't. If you test into one of these courses in the blue, which is called Introduction to College Writing or Introduction to College Reading, that's still good because the credits that you earn in those classes will go towards your college degree. It doesn't mean you don't have to take English, but that's still good because those credits will go towards your college degree. Now where it gets a little dicey is if you test into the green courses, because the green courses are preparatory classes that don't carry credits that can be used towards your degree. Now, if you have to register for 12 credits to be a full-time student, those credits count as you being a full-time student. They just cannot apply to your degree. So what do you do in that case? In that case, you might decide to come back and retake Accuplacer, or you might want to go to the websites we're going to show you to do some self-study to brush up on your own and come back and see if you can raise your score at least to this level. Okay, next. Here's a placement chart for math. Now, for those of you in this room that are planning to earn a bachelor's degree, you will eventually have to take one of these math courses up here in yellow. Which one it is, that depends on your major. So if you are going to be like a sociology major, your math requirement is not going to be as high as somebody who's going to be in engineering, right? So if you're in engineering, you're probably going to have to take calculus. But if you're going to be an English major or a history major, you probably can take something right here. Now, for those of you sitting in the room today who are going for an associate degree, particularly like an Associate of Arts degree, this is the math requirement you're fine with. Now, if you're in a bachelor's degree and you test here, just like in the English sheet, you're still okay because these credits will go towards your general electives. So that's valuable. Where it gets dicey, once again, is when you place into the green. That's where you have to decide if it would be in your best interest to brush up on your own and come back and take Accuplacer again and see if you can test a little higher. All right, websites that you can go to in order to improve your performance in English and math. This khanacademy.org is a website that now has a national reputation in terms of being an outstanding site for you to learn math skills. This website right here, English is for Everyone, is an excellent website in order for you to brush up on your grammar skills. So I highly recommend using these free websites to refresh your memory of math and English. At the end of the test today, you will see your score report displayed on the screen. But what you'll need to do is you'll need to scroll down once you see your score report because you're looking for the yellow print button. You'll hit the print button and then you'll walk out to the front and the person at the front, Jasmine, she will give you your score report so you'll get it today right after you finish the test.